Hi everyone. I'm on a little early. Let's just wait and get some people up. Alright, are we at 2:30 yet? I think so. Let me... Alright. Hi everyone. I'm still trying to learn this. Hold on. This is my first Facebook Live of many. And I just want to make sure if there's anybody logged in. Go ahead and say hi to me in the comments and see if I can see what's happening. Here we go. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome. I'm very excited to see you here. Today we're going to talk about being an empath and how we can accidentally stunt our loved ones' growth and evolution. So if you're here, give me a hi in the comments so I know you're here and we can get this party started. Thank you for coming. It's very exciting. I'm super excited to talk about this today. We're going to have a lot of fun, kind of uncover some things, learn some things. It's pretty exciting. So I'm just going to jump right in real quick. So what's an empath, right? I think most people that logged in kind of identify as or maybe think they are an empath. But honestly, what an empath is somebody who feels other people's emotions and can sometimes absorb them. So I take on your emotions. So I come into a room with you, you've had a really bad day at work, and I can I feel your anger from work as if it was my anger. I feel your sadness because, you lost your job. So as an empath, I can feel your emotions, but I can also take on your emotions and absorb them, and they kind of intertwine with mine, and that's when it kind of gets ugly for empaths and exhausting. So you might be an empath if you've heard things like somebody has said something to you like, no one gets me like you get me. You understand. I don't even have to tell you, and you just seem to know there's something wrong, right? You always know what to say to me. You always know how to cheer me up. It's so great. It feels so great to be here with you. And, I didn't think about it like that. That makes so much sense. So as an empath also, you can kind of navigate the other person's feelings. So if you're talking to your girlfriend and she's venting about her boyfriend, and then, you can give that feedback like, well, maybe he actually felt like this, right? And they're like, oh my God, I didn't even think of it like that. So you become this beacon of support on accident for people. But it, your friends, your family, but you stunt their growth on accident, because when people start coming to you and saying things like, hey, can you talk to such and such for me? Like, dad is really hurting my feelings, or, mom just doesn't get me. When you become that conduit, that person in between, then you stunt that person's growth. And that's where it really becomes like, it's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. They have a right to go through whatever their journey is, right? So when you do that, you not only stunt their growth, but you exhaust yourself, because all of us have like this checklist of our journey of things that, you know, we need to learn to navigate and grow through and evolve in, right? So instead of you on your journey, you are on Tommy's journey and Janice's journey and everybody else's journey. So here you are on everybody else's journey. Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. Hey, Vanessa. Thanks for showing up, guys. I love you. So we're just talking about being an empath and what that may look like. You become this person in somebody's... Hi, Mom. You become somebody's conduit. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, you know, nobody gets me like you do. I don't even have to tell you what's wrong. And you just know. You're probably an empath, right? So like your significant other is like, you just get me, right? Like, why could that be wrong? How many people can relate to that? You hear things like, you know, you always know how to cheer me up. God, you know just what to say. You know, let me know in the comments if these things are resonating with you and this happens to you often. You know, you're probably an empath. When you're anticipating people's needs, whoo, that was a whole thing for me. When I worked for somebody and I saw they were stressed out and I felt what they were feeling, I would all the time tell my boss, hiya, Judy. I would all the time tell my boss, like, oh, hey, go home. Hey, Jenny. You know, so as an empath, you do these things. Hey. So you do these things as an empath where I would literally tell my boss to go home because I felt like they were stressed out. You're stressed. You're not thinking clearly. You know, you're not getting any work done, right? So then you're sitting there and you're like, just go home and I got it. But what did I just do? I took on whatever they were meant to navigate themselves, and it was part of their journey, as mine. So now what have I done? Now I've taken my journey, my work, right? And now I've also taken on their work. And now they're at home relaxing, trying to feel better, right? And now here I am doing their work for them, doing my work, and not being at home with my family, right? So that's kind of like where we are in this. We're not, as an empath, when you take on other people's things, I know it feels like you're helping and it's good and it feels, you know, so amazing, right? But at the same time, it oftentimes will exhaust you, right? So if you do that, then that person, they're not learning whatever they're meant to learn from that situation. So like, let's say my boss, when I took on what was stressing her out, was supposed to learn how to navigate something like that, how to, you know, focus and maybe prioritize better, how to, you know, not answer every email, but answer only the priority emails. But because I took that from her and said, oh, I'll go through your emails and answer who needs it. Now they haven't learned that lesson. That lesson doesn't go away for them. Know that. So you take that lesson away from them, they just have to circle back. They just circle back, and then they have to try to learn that lesson again without you being present. And I think that you know, so you actually hurt yourself, right? Because now you're here, you're stressed out, you've taken on their energy, you've taken on their emotions, right? They get to go home and recoup, but guess what? A month later, they're going to have to do the same thing all over again. See, Vanessa gets me. I see you, girl. That's what I'm talking about. Like, so here's why it's not a good thing. Because one, it definitely stresses you out, right? They don't learn the lesson that they're supposed to learn, and it drags you down. Whew, it drags you down. You know, like, let's say you have that friend. Now, again, I'm not saying you have to be very careful with these kind of conversations, because you don't want to be, I don't want to say like other people's emotions are their responsibility, right? If you have a depressed teenager in your home, I'm not saying ignore them and let them work on their feelings. What I am saying is get them therapy, because you're not their therapist, Do you feel me? Like, that's what I'm saying. So if you have a friend who is constantly calling you and saying things like, can you just tell me what should I say? It's so simple to give them what they should say, right? But the answer is, what do you want to say? You have to put it back on them and let them tell you. Let me see. Girl, see, Vanessa gets me. She gets it. And believe it or not, when you start to do this work, it's really hard because you've been that person that's like, oh, let me give you advice, or let me help you with this, or, right? But when you do that, when you're like, oh, here, let me fix it. So here's the issue with the fixers, because I know I'm a fixer. I'm a fixer-upper. My mom says that I like to date guys that are fixer-uppers. Well, I used to. The thing about being a fixer is, it weighs you down. But why do we do those things? Why do we want to fix people? Why do we want to help them? Well, there's a couple reasons behind that. Well, there's lots of reasons that could be, but I'm going to touch on a couple of them. Let me just say out loud, I'm hiding in my car. When you got 5 kids and some dogs, the best place to be is in a car. It's quiet in here. Can everybody hear me okay? So, yes, that's right, Mom. It's hard to not want to fix because you want to be that helper. You want to, you want to do things, to make other people's lives easier. But when you do that, you're not making your life any easier. And again, you're not helping them because they're going to have to learn this lesson regardless. So when my friend calls and is like, I'm sick of my man, blah, 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 blah. He did this and he said this, right? Awesome. What should I say to him, Ryan? What do you want to say to him? Right? How does that make you feel? Right? That's really hard to do when you've had a lifetime of being like, girl, well, here's what I think you should do. It's so hard to do and say. So you want to help. But let's be honest, right? So let's be honest. Sometimes, as an empath, why do you want to help? Now, I'm gonna speak some hard truths here real quick. Why do you want to help as an empath? Well, because I want to feel better. Let's be honest. Your feelings, excuse my French, hope ain't nobody's little kids watching this, are fucking with my mojo. I walk into a room, I'm feeling good, you stressed out, you're upset, you're sad, right? I feel the need to fix you so I feel better. Because as an empath, your feelings, I'm absorbing them and they're affecting my feelings. I'm just speaking some hard truths, and maybe it's just me. But sometimes I want to make people feel better so I feel better. I'm uncomfortable with you not feeling better. Because you not feeling better is affecting me feeling good. As an empath, I'm absorbing all of that, and it's exhausting, right? So it's just easier to fix you. But it's not. It's not. And we have to stop. Has anybody ever felt that? Where you feel the need to cheer somebody up because you just want peace in your space? Let me know if anybody can understand what that's like. Where you just want peace. How can I cheer you up? Cook your favorite dinner, listen to you vent, take you to your favorite spot, buy you your favorite ice cream. What do I need to do to make you feel special so you're not thinking about what's upsetting you right now? But that's not really them working on their feelings. That's them suppressing them, right? So here, I'm going to buy you this ice cream because I know you, and you're going to feel thought of, right? And then that person's going to be like, you always know how to cheer me up. You always know what to say, right? But when you do that, what ends up happening? You stunt their growth because they're not working on whatever emotions they're supposed to be processing. Right now, they're enjoying that ice cream you gave them. Right now, they're at that play that you bought them tickets for, right? So they're not doing the emotional work that they're supposed to grow. because sometimes we need them to feel better. But our need for them to feel better isn't what helps them the most. And that's the hardest thing, especially as a mom. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but I know as a mom, we hate to see our kids sad, upset, angry, in pain. I can attest to that. And I remember one of my kids said to me, I have a right to my feelings and to be upset about something. I don't need to feel better because you want me to feel better. And I was like, oh, okay, Gen Z, you're right. That makes sense. You're allowed to be shitty about whatever happened to you. And I don't need to rush you through those feelings because I'm uncomfortable with your feelings. Like, I don't know if anybody else has teenagers, but even with little kids, what do we do when they cry? Shh, 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 shh. We want them to hurry up and stop crying. We teach them that crying is something that needs to stop. Their pain needs to hurry up. There's a limit. No arms are broken. You don't need stitches. So we need to wrap this up because I'm uncomfortable. It's too much. I have my emotions and now your emotions are in here. And it's too much. I am overwhelmed by the emotions, right? And then there's also this other part of us. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. Let me know in the comments. Where it feels good. It feels good to fix things, right? You go and you fix something for your boss. You go and you fix something for your brother or sister. You go and fix something for your grandparents, right? You're the go-to person for all the shit nobody else wants to do or deal with, right? When you're that person, right? When you're that person, it feels good in the beginning. It's very rewarding. You just take on all this shit. You just keep taking it on. I got it. What was that from Don't Tell Mom Babysitter's Dead? I'm right on top of that, Rose. So you tell everybody, I'm right on top of that, Rose. And before you know it, you are taking on everybody's stuff, all their junk. Your girlfriend's divorce, your best friend's depression, your brother's, I don't know, your brother's boyfriend left him. You know, your kids, you know, drama at school with their friends. You are now the go-to person for everybody else's emotions because you need their emotions to stop, but ultimately you're just absorbing them more. Your cup is full and it's heavy and you're tired and you're exhausted. And you keep telling everybody that you're taking on way too much of their stuff. And they're just looking at you like you're crazy. Because you asked for it. You asked me, can I help you carry your groceries upstairs? Sure. And then I hand you 6 bags. And you're like, oh, shit, this is heavy. Well, I don't want to carry your groceries. But you asked to carry them. Right? So we have to stop asking to carry other people's emotions. Now, as an empath, that's really hard because we're going to feel them. So like another person, a person that's not an empath, just a regular, average Joe, they can say, I don't want to take on your emotions. And then it's just over. But us, we have to feel them. So we have to live in the moment. You have to be very conscious of the present moment. And you have to stop yourself. So when you feel somebody's upset, you see they're upset in their face, you have to be like, okay, look, it's not my responsibility. So what's the best question you can ask yourself as an empath? What is my responsibility? Is it your responsibility to ask somebody, were they just crying? No. Now, again, we are not talking about you have a child or a family member or a friend that suffers from depression and you are seeing the signs and you want to make sure they get help and are healthy. That is different. But also, not your job to take it on. It's your job to get them professional help. Period. I don't care if you're an empath and you can feel that they're depressed. You can't take on that depression. That's not meant for you. You have to guide them towards therapy. And even if they're adamantly against it, you just keep revisiting it. Just be like, wow, that sounds really hard. I'm so sorry. You know, my therapist helps me with that. And you just have to live in that present moment of, is this my responsibility? And if it isn't, you have to let it go. So like, if you're at work and you see your boss is stressed, and what do? You do your job. It's their job. Now, if they ask for help and you can help, that's different. But anticipating people's needs because you feel their emotions is what can hurt you as an empath. You don't want to do those things. So let's talk about, how do you protect yourself as an empath? Right? Ryan just told you to ignore all these feelings that these people are dragging on you. So now what do you do with them? How do you get rid of them? Right? Because it's like tar. Does anybody feel like that? They go home, or they come home from work, or they come home and they're literally exhausted, but they didn't do anything physical. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel like when you come home from work, or you come home from maybe being out with your friends, you're exhausted, but like, it's not like you were doing 200 jumping jacks. You were sitting at a desk, but you're physically exhausted, and you don't understand why you're physically exhausted. We're physically exhausted because your boss and his wife are fighting, and you felt that. You're physically exhausted because your coworker's a jackass. You're physically exhausted because the client that you met with, is having all these issues, right? Let me see what you got to say. See, it's all mental. Yeah, Gabby gets it. She gets it. I don't think I can be there. I get that. It's really hard. So let's talk about that. I have a relative who is a very close relative who suffers from borderline personality disorder and depression. And it is really hard because I came from a place of, I can help you with that, right? And taking on somebody's emotions that's wrapped in their mental illness is really hard. It's so hard. But also ignoring them is hard too. So don't ignore them, right? They're valid. Their feelings are valid, but also it's okay to say, this is too much for me right now. Right? So and I know it's hard. You probably have to have a conversation ahead of time, Vanessa. So I know that I had a hard conversation that said, when I tell you I need space, or that I don't have the capacity for something, I need you to respect that and use your tools that you got from therapy and call your therapist. Right? I mean, and it's a terrifying moment, but you have to find some balance. And I'm not saying I'm great at it. There are definitely times where I still take on, girl, it's hot in this car. It's kind of sweaty. Where I take on more than I should, and I probably should have asked for more boundaries. So nobody is perfect at this. Let me say that I have not mastered this. I am on the journey of balance. So I am not telling anyone in here, just do this, and it's a fix-all. That's not how it works. Life is messy. There is no black and white. There is no linear line that you can draw, and it just fixes everything. It's messy. So some days you're going to be really good at being boundaried. Other days, not so much. That's okay. The point is to be conscious of the boundaries. But yeah, so at work, you come home, you're exhausted, right? And you're like, why am I exhausted? What is this? You are taking on all these people's emotions. So how can you help with that? So a couple of tools. People talk about meditation, right? But they always start with grounding. They always tell you, well, if you're grounded, then these emotions can't affect you. So I'm going to be the first person to say this. I've never heard anybody else say this, but this is what worked for me as an empath. Right? I'm feeling people's emotions. Do you know how hard it is to get grounded when I have 50 people's emotions hanging on to me, it doesn't work. I can't get grounded. So what I usually start with is heart chakra, because that's your feelings and your emotions. And I think doing a heart chakra meditation for me, what first was the end all be all of like change. It took everything that I was feeling that wasn't mine and helped me align and kind of like shake it off, right? So heart chakra meditations are a must if you're an empath. I wholeheartedly believe that. There are plenty of free ones on YouTube. Guided meditations were really, really hard for me in the beginning. If you're good with guided meditations, go ahead. I'm not really good with authority or listening to people like tell me what to do. So guided meditations are hard. Now that I'm in a more aligned place, guided meditations are easier. So do what's best for you. When you get home from work, another thing that could help you guys is an Epsom salt bath with rosemary. Rosemary is a protective herb, right? So it helps you against energy that could be deeply affecting you. Now, not everybody has time for a bath and candles and all that, especially if you're a mom with a bunch of kids banging on the door because they got to pee, even though you told them to go pee before you had to. Yeah. So anyways, what I've found is I take on stress in certain areas. So like I hold them in my shoulders. So let me know what areas you feel you hold stress in the comments. Is it your back? Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. Hey, Maria. Rosemary is also good for mental clarity, so that definitely helps. So you're going to take that rosemary and Epsom salt, and you're just going to dampen it in the shower, and you're going to rub it on the parts that you hold stress. Now, let's be smart about this. If you hold it in your face, don't be rubbing salt in your eyes, talking about Ryan told me to. Don't be rubbing it in your sensitive areas, telling them Ryan told you to. Don't do that. You know, for me, I hold it in my shoulders. So while I'm in the shower, I just kind of rub it in, right? And I let it sit for a minute. It's very releasing. It's amazing. See, so your neck and shoulders. So then you would kind of rub it in and then just let it sit while you're in the shower, and then rinse it off. But yeah, you can get rosemary, and add it to your Epsom salt, or you can buy, there is an Epsom salt that's already rosemary infused. So either way. Also, one of the things that I do is a black onyx necklace or bracelet. I don't know who's into crystals. I'm pretty good about crystals. I kind of dig them. I normally have my bracelet on, but my 4-year-old was like, it's mine today. So that helps tremendously. And you just can cleanse that in a baggie of salt. It's, you don't need a full moon or anything. You can do it during a full moon. But, putting your bracelet on really helps you, just kind of filter those feelings and block them. So that's a big deal. But most importantly, like I said, boundaries. Ask yourself, what is my responsibility? Stay in the present moment and ask yourself, is this my responsibility? So I'm obviously upset about my heart baby and COVID going on, right? I do not expect my friends to come up with an action plan on how to make me feel better, right? But you need to not be that friend also. Don't come up with an action plan to make people feel better, because they don't need that, right? Let them come up with their action plan. I know it's hard. I know your ego wants it. I know you want them to feel better so you can feel better. And I know you want to genuinely help. I get all of that. But you have to really let people have their journey, because again, they're going to do their journey regardless. So you can block this lesson if you want to. Next month they're going to have to do it again. You're just going to set them up for a repeat of patterns that they don't need to be in. Hey, Kelly. So we're going to wrap this up. Who has questions? I'm open. Tell me your experiences. Tell me your stories. Tell me your questions. Who has something they want to share? I'm here for it. Life is hard and messy. Hey, and we want to fix it. I get it. I'm a fixer. It's what I do. I start working in a law firm. I take on all the responsibilities. So the attorney is leaving at 4 p.m. and I never see my kids and I'm crying because I'm miserable. I've been there. I get it. When you're an empath, you feel people's feelings and you just want to fix it. And, you don't need to do that. You don't need to buy your friends their favorite ice cream, right? Because they want to avoid their feelings. Now, you can buy them their favorite ice cream and let them talk about their feelings. I'm okay with that. My favorite ice cream is coffee, obviously. But I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be doing lots of lives. I don't want to keep you guys on for more than 30 minutes because I feel like that's super excessive. And I don't want to do that to you. But hear me now. I'm going to be doing lots of lives on like emotional blockages and how to clear them. I'm going to be doing some recipes on Florida water. And I just launched a group for this page called Aligning Women. So I'm going to post that and invite you guys, if you're into, like learning about herbs and you're into, candles and tarot, I'm definitely be doing some readings, but also doing a lot of coaching techniques on how to clear emotional blockages so we can align and live our best life. Offering some, promotional challenges and things within the group. So I hope to see you guys all there. I love you. Thank you for coming. And I will see you on the flip side. Bye, babies.